Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, DC Direct, Page Puncher, Shazam. I pre-ordered this guy from the McFarlane toy store. He arrived today, so let's take a look at the packaging. It's done in a clear clamshell container. DC, McFarlane Toys, includes exclusive English comic book, ages 12 plus, DC Direct, Shazam. Here he is in the package. We have a total of 4 alternate hands, a necklace, display stand, and collector's card. Both sides of the package are pretty blank. At the back, we have an issue of Shazam #1 from Dawn of the DC. And at the bottom, there's his barcode, if that helps anybody. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And I did order the entire bundle from the McFarlane toy store. Between the bundle discount, the coupon code, my platinum membership discount, I got all these guys for less than retail, even after shipping and taxes. Now there is a platinum chase variant of both Shazam and Red Hood. I'm on the hunt for both those guys. If anybody has a lead on where I can get one for a reasonable price, or can possibly help me out, please drop me a line in the comments below. It is much appreciated. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all his accessories laid out. We have a display stand, a comic book, a collector's card, a total of 4 interchangeable hands, and a necklace. Before we take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Shazam. He's a superhero with powers very similar to Superman. Not exactly invincible, but super strong. He can fly, kind of controls lightning. He's really a little kid named Billy Batson, but he was given some powers by a wizard. When he speaks the keyword Shazam, he turns into this adult superhero with sort of the mentality of a child, but the powers and physique of an adult. He has pretty much the exact same powers as Black Adam. Now Shazam has kind of an interesting history in the DC Comics. Originally, he was called Captain Marvel and was introduced in Wiz Comics back in the 40s. He wasn't owned by DC. At one point, DC introduced sort of a knockoff version of Shazam called Captain Thunder, and then eventually they got the rights to Shazam, or Captain Marvel rather, but they couldn't call him Captain Marvel because of Marvel Comics. So they called him Shazam, which was just the keyword that would turn Billy Batson into Captain Marvel, but is now called Shazam. This is not the first, or second, or third Shazam figure McFarlane has made, but it looks to be probably the best. So let's take a closer look. I believe it's done in the Crisis on Infinite Earth Superman body, and the head sculpt looks great. He has a sort of pointed eyebrows, hair slicked back, hair looks good, done in a couple different colors, square jaw, traditional superhero look. Big lightning bolt on the chest. He's got double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, cloth soft goods cape with a wire in it, bendy wire that goes all the way around. He has a hood that can go up and down. Like I said, probably their best Shazam yet. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which I think looks great. The entire figure looks good. Just has that traditional old school superhero look to him. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he can go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, starting off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand, typical McFarlane display stand we've seen countless times before. And then we have his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Shazam flying around the city. Shazam. On the back, we have a description. If you want to read that, pause now. And then we have the comic book. This is a replica of Shazam #1 from the Rebirth. Dawn of the DC with one magic word, Shazam. Here's the front, looking very similar to the figure, although it doesn't look like he has a hood behind him, just a sort of large collar. And you can see the necklace, it sort of looks like it's the string holding his cape with a little medallion on it. Not exactly how it looks on the figure. Old school versions of Shazam. Here he is getting his powers from the wizard. DC on the back. On the inside, meet the captain. Shazam. You can kind of see the necklace is just sort of part of the cape. I don't know, it doesn't look like they did that quite right with the action figure. Notice the little medallion piece is always to the left. He looks pretty cool and looks very close to the art in this comic. Now let's look at his hands. He has a total of 4 of them. 2 left hands and 2 right hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are his fists. And here's his second pair of hands. These are a pair of open hands. And honestly, they look way too big. Then we have his necklace. There's no real significance to this. It's not like his powers come from this medallion or anything. It's just a gold sort of rope necklace with a little gold circle at the bottom. And at least according to the comic that I looked at, it looks like it's sort of supposed to be the rope around his cape. And then it should be sort of on the side here. They did not do a good job with that accessory at all. I mean, it's really just going to dangle in the middle and be like a traditional necklace. I don't know. Not very impressed with this thing. They could have easily just sort of sculpted it onto there. But it looks like literally a necklace. He gets his powers from or something like that. I guess it's supposed to kind of look like that. I don't think it came out very well in action figure form. Now I wanted to talk about his cape for a sec. His cape is totally white. It has gold trim. It's got a bendy wire on the side. Get it to strike different poses. If you want it going up, etc. Now if you want it to sort of flow in the wind, it's not as long as some of their capes. So I like to sort of bend it up, bend it back down. And you sort of have the other side kind of coming in as well. And then if you turn around, it kind of looks like it's going to the side there. I could definitely do a better job than that. In addition to that, he's got his hood. Now, Shazam didn't have a hood until the New 52, but it's been pretty much like that since then. So here's the hood down, and take it, raise the hood up, and honestly, it does not really go above his head. So maybe it's not supposed to be a hood, maybe it's just supposed to be the large collar, and if that's the case, they failed if it's a hood, but the source material didn't show a hood, so I guess it's supposed to be the large collar. That doesn't look very good either way. I mean, it's definitely supposed to be the collar. Look at that. Just doesn't quite look right. I don't know. Put that thing back down. Looks a lot better if you ask me. Now I want to check out the reuse and differences between this Shazam figure and the Crisis on Infinite Earth Superman, which is a fantastic body when they introduced him, and they haven't reused it much yet. Keyword, yet. So let's take a closer look. Obviously the heads are totally different. Now the top part of the torso looks to be the same, as well as the bottom part, but the gap on Superman is much more noticeable than on Shazam. I feel like, I don't know, it's a lot more flush, a lot tighter here. The arms look to be the same. You can see the same wrinkles on the biceps or shoulders. The diaper piece is the same wrinkles on it, but just a different belt. The legs are also the same, all the way down to the feet, except they sort of altered the boots here. Of course, the forearm is a little bit different as well. And, of course, the capes are quite different. This is now the third figure that I have to utilize the Crisis Superman body. And there are 2 other figures utilizing the same body, which will be the Platinum version of Shazam and the Platinum version of the Task Force Superman. And then the Chris Reeve Superman's body is very similar, but I believe is a unique sculpt, not the same as Shazam or Crisis Superman. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories, let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his head, standing at about 7.4, maybe 7.5 inches tall, which can translate to just under 19 centimeters. And for his articulation, starting with his head, of course, he can rotate side to side. He can look up and down about that far, very nice. It's going to really help get into some flight poses. Can tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulders on a ball joint, goes out more than 90 degrees, up, down, around. He's got this butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest, increase the range of motion, and more importantly, cover up the giant gap that would be there. Bicep cut, double jointed elbows. His wrist can rotate, and it is hinged as well. Ball jointed torso, rotate around, forward and back. Now the only issue here is if you rotate it, the lightning bolt is not flush at all and looks terrible. Another ball joint is waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion in the torso. Legs complete with splits, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is pretty good on him. Legs go forward, about that far. Back not much. Double jointed knees. And his ankle. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt, rock. And toe articulation. Here's a look at Shazam, hovering above the city, utilizing his powers. Shazam! Now let's check him out next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Shazam figures. Here's this Page Puncher Shazam, next to McFarlane's Rebirth Shazam. This Rebirth Shazam is my favorite Shazam figure they've made, at least until now. I feel like this one has a more classic looking design, and this one a little more modern looking. These are both based off the comics, and are both fantastic Shazam figures. And here he is, next to McFarlane's two different versions of the movie Shazam, both from the second film. Then, next to a couple of evil Shazam figures, we have the Infected Shazam, which was their first release on the left, and the Vampire Shazam, which was their most recent Shazam, on the right. And now, with Mattel's DC Multiverse Shazam, this one is from the first film. Here are all the different Shazam figures that I have, by McFarlane and Mattel. I don't have any by DC Direct or Mafex. Here he is next to Freddie Freeman, another member of the Shazam family, and I was very disappointed they didn't make the entire family from the second film. Here he is with all the different McFarlane Black Adam figures that I have. Black Adam is pretty much the main Shazam villain or antagonist. He has the exact same powers. The three on the left are from the movie, and the three on the right are from the comics. Now let's check him out next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is next to the rest of his wave. This is the newest wave of Page Punchers. We have the comic version of the Chris Reeve Superman, comic version of Shazam, and the comic version of the animated Red Hood. What a weird wave. Now in the past, the Page Punchers were typically McFarlane comics they made, and then they would make figures based off their own artwork and their own comics. The last wave was, I think, the first one to break that pattern. Deathstroke and Damian. Chris Reeve Superman, Shazam, no problem. Red Hood? Which one of these is not like the other? Why the hell do they have this animated 6-inch scale figure mixed with the comic 7-inch figures? It's so weird. McFarlane has their own animated line. Why is he in the Multiverse figure line and not their DC Direct animated line? And I realize maybe some people don't consider the Page Punchers Multiverse figures. They damn sure are. They fit in perfect scale and style-wise. But just look at this. It's so weird. Red Hood is like half the size of Shazam, and these guys are part of the same wave. It's just so bizarre. Here's Shazam, next to the King Kong vs. Batman 3-pack. And here he is, next to those recent Batman wave. Both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of the Noel Batman and the Silver Age Batman. Then we have the single Platinum Batman vs. Spawn Batman, and all three versions of the Neo-Gothic Batman Beyond Batman. Then, with a couple of recent McFarlane Toy Store exclusives, the Brightfogle Batman, and the black and white accent Blue Beetle. And now, with the Justice League Task Force wave, collectible Darkseid. Each of these four figures has a Platinum Chase variant. I have Flash, Superman, and Aquaman, and I'm looking for 2 Platinum Chase variants of Batman. If anyone out there can help me out, please drop me a line in the comments below. I believe they're hitting GameStops across the country right now. I want to collect to build the Platinum Darkseid. Batman is the only figure standing between me and that. Here's Shazam, next to the Amazon exclusive Batman that came with the Batglider, and the GameStop exclusive Frostbite Nightwing. And here he is, next to the Amazon exclusive Court of Owls 3-pack. Then, with a couple of recent Mega figures, the Planet Ron Red Swamp Thing, and the Zack Snyder's Justice League Armored Darkseid. This is one that came with a throne. And now, with the 8th wave of McFarlane Collector's Edition figures, both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of Lightning Lad, Simon Paw's Green Lantern, Geoforce, and Grid. I also have the regular Mr. Terrific. I currently have both versions of the Chris Reeve Superman on the way. I still need to track down a Platinum Mr. Terrific figure. If anyone can help me out, or point me in the right direction, let me know. Once I get the Chris Reeve Superman figures in, I will have 11 of the 12 figures in this wave. Looking forward to completing this wave. I believe Mr. Terrific is showing up at Walmart GameStop and Best Buy around the country right now. And finally, next is the Batman vs Superman wave. Both versions of the Nightmare Batman, both versions of the Henry Cavill Superman, Doomsday, Wonder Woman, and all 3 versions of the Armored Batfleck. Now let's check them out. Next is some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise. In case you have no lines you can mix them with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the large action figure lines I collect, and work my smaller. But first, let's check them out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and some Diamond Select toys. Here's Shazam, next to a Polaroid camera. And here he is, with some DC Direct and NECA figures. Then, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. And now, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Next, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, with some SH Figure Arts and Jazzwares Fortnite figures. Overall, this is a fantastic Shazam figure. He is almost perfect. He uses the Crisis body, which is a fantastic Superman body. My only real complaints about him would be the little necklace thing. They did a horrible job translating that from the comics to the action figure. And I would say his hood, but it's not a hood, it's just a giant collar, and it's not quite as bad as I initially thought. Now the cape with the bendy wire could be a little better. It's not quite as easy to pose and use in some of the Batman or Superman capes out there, but still pretty nice, and if you're patient and skilled, you can get it to look pretty damn good. Like I said, I think it's a fantastic body. I hope they get a lot of use out of it with Superman and Shazam type characters. If I were to rate this guy, my first thought is an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really nice figure. Shazam's not a character that I'm a huge fan of, but it's an almost perfect, classic looking Shazam. I think I am going to stick with that 8.5. It's a nice release. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say to the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate if you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.